There comes a moment in a person's life when they decide that they will not become like the world, no matter how the world treats them. This decision is not easy because, by nature, humans react. When someone hurts you, your heart wants to respond. When someone belittles you, an inner voice urges you to put them in their place. But true strength lies in having the option to respond and choosing calm instead. When someone asks you, "Why are you so good even to those who treat you badly?" there is a sense of wonder behind the question because the world has taught us that one must meet harshness with harshness. But life has taught otherwise. Life has taught that behind every harsh tone is a weary heart, behind every sarcasm is a wounded ego, and behind every rudeness is a pain that has never been acknowledged. When people break, they are not always silent, sometimes they scream. And often, that scream comes out as rudeness. Some people do not tend to their wounds, instead, they show those wounds to others. Some people do not try to understand their own pain, they project it onto others. But this does not mean they are bad, it means they are wounded. You may have noticed that those who scream the loudest are often the loneliest inside. Those who seem the toughest are often the most afraid within. Those who are most sarcastic are often filled with self-doubt. People never become harsh for no reason, they become harsh because they have been hurt by staying soft. And the truth is, we have all, at some point, been harsh to a kind person. We have all, at some point, taken out our anger on someone who did not deserve it. We have all, at some point, mistaken someone's softness for weakness. And later, when we are alone, a corner of our heart reminds us that we were wrong. It is this realization that teaches us to change. It is this realization that teaches us that rudeness is weakness, not strength. And kindness is not weakness, it is awareness. Kindness does not mean erasing yourself. Kindness does not mean enduring injustice. Kindness means that you do not change your values according to someone else's behavior. You maintain your standards even if the other person cannot understand them. When someone is rude to you and you respond with calm, you are, in essence, declaring that you are not a slave to your emotions. You do not change according to circumstances, instead, you respond according to your principles. That is true freedom. Many people think that if we are soft, others will take advantage of us. But the truth is that softness and weakness are not the same. A soft person can set boundaries. A soft person can say, no. A soft person can defend their dignity, and they do all this quietly, without noise. Life is a mirror. If you stand before it with anger, anger will return to you. If you stand before it with calm, calm will return to you. Every action has a reaction, but your choice determines what that reaction will be. Sometimes, your kindness does not show immediate effect. Sometimes, the other person is so wrapped up in their own world that they mistake your softness for weakness. But remember, the true benefit of kindness comes first to you. When you choose not to take revenge, your heart feels lighter. When you refuse to nurture anger, your nights are peaceful. When you forgive, you become free. The world is already full of noise. If you add your own anger to it, what difference will it make? The difference comes when one person decides to become calm amid the chaos. Responding to harshness with softness is never easy, because our ego urges us to react immediately. But the person who masters their ego becomes greater than any battle in the world. The greatest battle is not outside, it is inside. Kindness rarely gives immediate reward, but it builds character over time. And character is what sets a person apart from others. Wealth can disappear, fame can fade, power can be lost, but character always remains. When you treat someone well, even when they are not good to you, you are, in fact, setting a standard for yourself. You are proving that your character does not depend on others' behavior. And that is true strength. The first step is this: understanding that behind rudeness lies pain, and behind kindness lies awareness. If you accept this truth, it can change the direction of your life. When someone asks you, "Why are you so good even to those who treat you badly?" they are not really questioning your behavior, They are questioning your inner framework. The world generally teaches that harshness should be met with harshness, otherwise people will see you as weak. But life, through experience, teaches the opposite, because life slowly makes it clear that reacting is easy, but maintaining character is difficult, and the person who chooses the harder path is the one who becomes truly strong. Kindness is not an emotional accident, it is a conscious choice, and every conscious choice reflects the inner system of a person, whether they are the master of their emotions or a slave to them. When someone is rude to you, an immediate reaction arises within you, because the human brain is programmed defensively and is ready to strike back to protect itself. Yet, in that very moment, another power exists within you that can stop you, and that power is awareness. If you give an immediate reaction every time, you will keep changing according to circumstances, but if you pause for a moment and reflect, you respond according to your values, and that difference is what makes an ordinary person extraordinary. Emotional maturity means feeling anger but not letting it control your words. It means feeling pain but not passing that pain on to others, because it is easy to spread hurt, but true bravery lies in stopping it where it is. Many people assume that if they remain soft, others will take advantage of them. What they fail to understand is that softness and weakness are two entirely different things. A weak person cannot set boundaries, whereas a soft-hearted person can set limits and maintain respect. Kindness does not mean tolerating everything, it means keeping your dignity while not allowing bitterness to take root in your heart. When you calmly tell someone that you cannot accept their tone, you are not being rude, you are setting a healthy boundary for yourself, and establishing such a boundary is also an act of self-love. The greatest battle in life is not external, it is internal. The noise outside cannot defeat you as long as your inner balance is maintained. If you learn to manage your anger internally, no sound in the world can shake you. But if you are uncontrolled inside, even a small incident can break you. This is why kindness is, at its core, self-control. A person who masters self-control can remain steadfast in the most challenging situations. When you do not respond to rudeness with rudeness, you are training your mind to consider long-term outcomes rather than immediate impulses, and over time, this training becomes part of your character. Often, rude people are fighting their own battles, and the tone they use reflects the storms within them. Understanding this does not justify their behavior, but it can explain it. And once you understand the reason, your reaction changes. Understanding always reduces anger, because when you see that the other person is struggling with their weaknesses, you begin to see them not as an enemy but as a wounded human being. A shift in perspective changes your tone, and a change in tone changes the environment. It is also important to remember that kindness does not yield instant results, because people do not change immediately, but you do. Every time you pause your anger and choose awareness, a new strength arises within you, and this strength slowly becomes part of your identity. People notice that there is something different about you, and that difference is that you live according to values rather than according to circumstances. Living by values is difficult because it requires sacrifice, but within that sacrifice lies dignity. Most conflicts in the world escalate because no one is willing to stop. Everyone wants to prove themselves right. Everyone wants to speak the final word. But true greatness lies in feeling no need to speak the final word. When you recognize your own worth, you no longer need to win every argument, and when your identity is clear, you no longer need to respond to every accusation. This is quiet strength, and quiet strength is the root of kindness. Kindness is a long-term investment that first brings peace within yourself, and peace is a wealth far greater than any material success. You may have wealth, but if your heart is restless, that wealth is meaningless. But if you have peace, you can remain strong even in the toughest situations. Rudeness may give temporary satisfaction, but kindness gives lasting peace, and lasting peace is only possible for those who learn to master their emotions. Finally, it is essential to understand that you cannot completely change the world, but you can choose your character. And it is this choice that determines the quality of your life. If someone is cruel to you and you become cruel in return, you have added nothing new to the world. But if you choose calm even in the face of harshness, you have established a new tradition. That tradition continues, influences others, and becomes your true identity. A person often believes that their behavior is limited only to the moment in which they react, but the truth runs much deeper. Every reaction sets off a chain, and every chain continues in some direction. When someone speaks harshly to you and you respond with the same intensity, you are not merely exchanging words, you are extending an emotional chain, which then reaches the next person, and from there to another, forming a circle of bitterness that may have begun with a simple sentence but can end in consequences far greater than its origin. This is why it is crucial to understand that your choice is never confined to yourself, it can shape the entire environment. When you choose kindness, you are effectively breaking this chain at the point where it could continue, and that is the greatest power. Breaking the chain requires awareness, patience, and inner stability. Most conflicts in the world escalate because both parties are busy protecting their ego, and neither is willing to pause and say, I will not continue this cycle. When you say, I will not return bitterness, you are not merely asserting your character, you are establishing a new tradition. And it is traditions that form the foundation of societies. Every person carries the burden of their past, and often this burden manifests in their behavior. Some carry the weight of childhood deprivation, others the shame of failure, the pain of betrayal, or the ache of loneliness. When the burden becomes heavy, it comes out through words. If you return that burden in the same moment, it doubles. But if you move forward without accepting the burden, it remains where it came from. Awareness elevates a person above the ordinary, because ordinary reactions are immediate, whereas noble character responds thoughtfully. It is also true that kindness does not always yield immediate results. Sometimes the other person is so absorbed in their own state that they cannot even perceive your softness, or they may even mistake it for weakness. But the true purpose of kindness is not to change others instantly, it is to strengthen yourself consistently. Every time you consciously choose calm, a strength develops within you that does not waver with circumstances, and this steadfastness gradually becomes your defining trait. The greatest success in life is not winning every argument but maintaining your dignity in every argument. When you control your voice, you control your mind, and when the mind is controlled, decisions become clear. Clear decisions lead to maturity. Rudeness may give temporary dominance, but it weakens inner peace, whereas kindness may not give immediate advantage, but it builds inner stability, and stability is true strength. If you observe closely, those who truly leave an impact in the world are often soft-spoken yet resolute. They do not respond to every noise with noise, they remain steadfast in their direction. Their power does not lie in how loudly they can speak but in how consistently they can uphold their principles. Staying true to principles is not easy, because every day presents a new test, but the person who maintains their standard despite trials is genuinely strong. It is also important to understand that kindness does not mean erasing yourself, it means mastering yourself. If someone disrespects you and you silently endure everything, that is not kindness, that is self-harm. But if you assert your boundaries with dignity while refusing to harbor hatred, that is the highest form of kindness. Not nurturing hatred is the most difficult task because hatred consumes a person from within, and when the heart is filled with hatred, there is no room left for peace. Every choice you make becomes part of your future, and repeated conscious choices become habit. Habits form character, and character shapes destiny. If your habit becomes choosing calm in response to every bitterness, over time people will see you differently, and most importantly, you will begin to see yourself differently. Seeing yourself with dignity is far more valuable than any external recognition. It is also true that when you choose kindness, you are not just changing a moment, you are setting an example for future generations. Children learn what they observe, and if they see harshness met with harshness, they will adopt the same pattern. But if they see that responses can be given with dignity and calm, they will carry forward that tradition. A single conscious choice can change a family's atmosphere, and the atmosphere of a family can influence the direction of a society. Ultimately, life's true test is not what happens to you, but how you respond. If the world is harsh to you and you become harsh in return, that is an ordinary reaction. But if, despite the world's harshness, you keep the light within yourself from extinguishing, that is extraordinary. Being extraordinary is not easy, but that is where greatness lies. Choosing kindness is, in essence, protecting your inner light, and the person who preserves their light can carve a path even through darkness. In the journey of life, there inevitably comes a time when a person must decide whether they will let the injustices done to them define their identity, or whether their reactions will define it. The truth is that the world is never entirely fair, people are not always wise, and not everyone will value you, but despite all of this, there is one thing that is completely within your control: your attitude. This attitude shapes your character and serves as the true measure of your strength. When someone repeatedly faces harshness, they have two paths. They can either become harsh themselves, believing that this is the principle of survival, or they can develop an inner strength that absorbs the harshness without passing it on. The first path is common, the second is extraordinary. The first path provides an immediate sense of security but gradually hardens the heart, while the second path may seem difficult initially but eventually makes a person internally invincible. Being invincible does not mean you do not feel pain, it means that pain cannot change your character. If someone is rude to you and your words mirror theirs, you may win in that moment, but you lose the softness within you that makes you unique. But if you can maintain control over your tone even in that moment, you achieve a victory that is invisible to the outside world yet elevates you internally. A person's true strength lies not in the volume of their voice but in the depth of their calm. Those who flare up at every word are, in reality, slaves to their emotions, and slavery, whether to emotions or circumstances, cannot be called strength. True strength is when anger rises within you but you do not let it reach your words, when your heart is hurt but you do not let it turn into hatred. Hatred is a burden one carries, thinking they are punishing someone else, when in truth, they are weakening themselves. It is also important to note that kindness does not mean continually sacrificing yourself. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, kindness does not require silence, it requires setting your limits with dignity. Strength and softness can coexist, and this balance is essential. You can be firm with a gentle tone, and gentle with a firm tone, the difference lies only in the intention behind your words. If your intention is to uphold your dignity, that is kindness. If your intention is to belittle another, that is ego. Life tests us repeatedly to reveal what we are made of. When someone misunderstands us, accuses us, or underestimates us, these moments serve as examinations. If we remain true to our values during these moments, we gradually develop a character that circumstances cannot shake. Circumstances will always change, people will change, but the person who builds a strong foundation remains steady through every shift. Many people believe that revenge brings peace to the heart, but revenge only gives temporary satisfaction, leaving emptiness behind. Forgiving and moving forward may seem difficult at first, but it lightens the heart. A light heart is what allows a person to move forward because carrying a burden prevents you from going far. The one who carries hatred at heart grows weary with every step, but the one who lets go of bitterness can travel far. Kindness not only draws others closer to you but also brings you closer to yourself. When you live according to your principles, you do not feel shame in front of yourself. You do not lie awake at night worrying that you have wronged someone. This inner peace is a wealth no bank can hold, yet it proves invaluable at every turn of life. In difficult times, this peace is what steadies you, because you know you have not acted with malice toward anyone. It is also important to understand that the world does not immediately recognize kindness, but time does. Over time, people remember who showed gentleness during their difficult days, who remained calm despite anger, and who upheld respect despite their mistakes. The fragrance of character spreads slowly, but once it does, it lingers for a long time. Ultimately, the true measure of a person's life is determined by their response. What happens to you is not as important as what you do in response. If you extend every bitterness forward, you become part of the same cycle. But if you pause and decide to break that cycle, you set your life on a new path. That decision makes a person invincible from within, because their strength is no longer dependent on external circumstances but rooted in inner balance. When you choose kindness, you are not merely performing a good act, you are building a fortress within yourself that remains safe from the storms of hatred, anger, and ego. And once this fortress is established within a person, no harshness in the world can ever break them permanently. In a person's life, the most important agreement is not the one they make with the world, but the one they make with themselves. Promises made to the world are often subject to circumstances, but a promise made to oneself forms the foundation of character. When you decide to choose kindness even in response to bitterness, you are essentially declaring that your standards will not be dictated by the behavior of others, but by your own values. This decision is never easy, because each day brings moments that test that promise, but it is precisely these tests that strengthen your resolve. In life, you will encounter people who mistake your silence for weakness, your softness for simplicity, and your patience for helplessness. But the truth is that there is a vast difference between patience and helplessness. Helplessness is when a person has no choice, while patience is when the choice exists, but one consciously decides not to exercise it. When you can respond but choose not to, when you could take revenge but do not, you are not weak, you are strong, because you have mastered your ego. Mastering the ego is more difficult than winning any external battle, because this battle is continuous, with no spectators, only you and your inner self. Many people ask, if we are kind every time, won't people continue to hurt us? The answer lies in the true definition of kindness. It does not mean harming yourself, but rather not harboring hatred in your heart. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, it is your right to clearly set limits, but true strength lies in doing so without bitterness. Bitterness is a slow-acting poison that first affects the heart, then the mind, and ultimately your decisions. A person who carries poison in their heart may appear successful externally, but internally, they can never be truly content. Kindness is, in essence, a way of life that strengthens with practice. Just as the body needs exercise to grow strong, character needs conscious choices to grow resilient. Every time you stop the spread of bitterness rather than letting it continue, a new strength develops within you, and over time, this strength becomes part of your character. People remember your responses more than your words, because reactions reveal a person's true state. If your response is grounded in calmness, it shows that you have established an inner balance that does not break easily. The greatest peace in life comes from knowing that you have never deliberately hurt anyone, and if mistakes occur, you acknowledge them and strive to correct them. Admitting your mistakes is also a form of kindness, because it means setting aside ego and accepting the truth. A person who can admit their mistakes can also forgive others easily, knowing that no one is perfect. Striving for perfection often hardens a person, while accepting one's weaknesses cultivates softness and realism. Another profound truth is that choosing kindness preserves your mental health. Constant anger, endless complaints, and thoughts of revenge exhaust the mind, and a fatigued mind cannot make clear decisions. Clear decisions are the foundation of success, and success is not only financial or social but also inner contentment. If you go to bed each night carrying hatred, your sleep will be restless. But if you forgive and let go, your sleep becomes light and peaceful. These small differences accumulate over time and transform the quality of life. Kindness also teaches a person to look toward the future. When you remain entangled in past bitterness, your mind stays stuck there. But when you decide to move forward, your mind begins to explore new possibilities. The future belongs to those who release their burdens, because running while carrying a weight is impossible. If you expend your energy on revenge, you cannot focus on personal growth. But if you invest your energy in improving yourself, you gradually reach a place where you no longer feel the need to prove yourself. Ultimately, Kindness is an inner promise that you will not let your heart harden, no matter how harsh the world becomes. This promise requires daily renewal, because every day brings situations that test you. But the person who remains true to this promise after every trial gradually reaches a place where their peace is independent of external circumstances. This is true freedom, and this is true strength, because once a person is free from within, no external confinement can hold them for long. The greatest success in a person's life is not measured by victories in the world, by wealth amassed, or by fame achieved. The truest success is winning the battle within oneself. Every person carries an inner race. On one side, there is anger, bitterness, revenge, and resentment. On the other, there is calm, gentleness, love, and awareness. This inner race continues every moment, and the person who chooses calm and gentleness in this race not only strengthens themselves but also gradually impacts those around them. This influence may not be immediate, but over time, it transforms the entire atmosphere. Along life's journey, many believe that power comes from anger or aggression, that those who are harsh and combative are dominant. The reality is entirely the opposite. True strength lies in not being enslaved by your emotions, in not transferring your inner bitterness onto others, and in maintaining your softness and dignity even in the most difficult moments. A person who achieves this is genuinely strong, because they understand that real victory is not in external circumstances but in inner balance. Every moment in which you respond to bitterness with calmness strengthens you further. Every instance of refraining from revenge builds an invisible fortress within, shielding you from the storms of hatred, anger, and complaint. When this inner fortress is strong, no turbulent situation in the world can instill fear or anxiety. This is the state in which a person becomes completely free and invincible. It is also true that kindness rarely produces immediate results, because people do not change instantly, and sometimes they may even mistake your gentleness for weakness. Yet the effect of your choices does not need to be visible immediately. Each time you consciously choose calm and gentleness, you generate a new strength within yourself, and over time, this strength becomes an integral part of your character. People are influenced more by your actions and reactions than by your words, and sooner or later, they sense that something about you is different. That difference lies in your consistency, your dignity, and your kindness. The greatest test for a person is not how others treat them, but how they respond to that treatment. If you respond to every act of rudeness with rudeness, you are merely reacting. But if you maintain calm and choose gentleness, you are laying the foundation of character, the very quality that makes a person invincible. Without character, power is temporary satisfaction. With character, inner peace endures. It is important to remember that kindness is not only for others, it is first and foremost for yourself. When you choose calm instead of revenge, you liberate your heart. This freedom is more valuable than any wealth or fame, because a person who is free within remains strong in every difficult moment, and the strong person becomes the master of their circumstances. That is why choosing kindness and calm is the greatest wisdom, for it protects a person within their inner fortress. The most important lesson in life is that every person, every bitterness, and every anger contains a new choice. If you continuously pass bitterness forward, the chain grows. But if each time you generate calm within yourself and choose gentleness, you break the chain and create a new tradition. This tradition is not only for you but also becomes an example for future generations. Children and young people learn by what they observe. If they see gentleness met with gentleness, respect met with respect, and harshness met with calm, this behavior spreads and transforms the fabric of society. Ultimately, the true purpose of kindness is not to change the world immediately but to establish an inner balance that endures. A person who is strong from within is not affected by external circumstances, and one who is unaffected approaches true freedom. This is the place where a person becomes completely invincible and free, and where each conscious daily choice transforms into life's greatest victory. Living a life of kindness and calm is not easy, but this journey illuminates and strengthens a person from within. Enduring bitterness, responding to rudeness with calm, and maintaining dignity in every difficult moment define a person's true identity. A person who achieves this becomes a light not only for themselves but for others. Their presence, thoughts, and behavior bring peace to the hearts around them, allowing them to step into a world illuminated by empathy, awareness, and real strength. This is the final lesson of kindness. The world's circumstances, the behavior of others, and the challenges one faces can never extinguish the inner light, provided the person remains steadfast with gentleness, calm, and dignity. Inner victory is the greatest victory, and it is possible for anyone who consciously chooses gentleness in every moment, maintains calm in every challenge, and vows each day to keep their heart free from wounds and bitterness.